Welcome to Coruzant Technologies, home of the Digital Executive Podcast.
Welcome to the Digital Executive. Today's guest is Matt Morris. Matt Morris is a digitalization and cybersecurity executive and author. Matt is currently the managing director for 1898 & Co. Security, where he leads a diverse team of ICS cybersecurity practitioners. His mission is to serve humanity by improving safety, security, and reliability of the world's critical infrastructure through resiliency, improved situational awareness, and preparedness. Matt is a highly sought-after speaker on ICS cybersecurity and an accomplished author. He has been published in Security Week, USA Today, Fox News, International Business Times, CIO Insights, CIO Review, and many other notable publications. Matt is a certified CISO, holds 12 DHS ICS certifications, and an MBA degree from Emory Goizueta Business School. Well, good afternoon, Matt. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm excited to be on here.
Absolutely, Matt. And I'm just as excited to have you. This is amazing. And we're going to talk a little bit about cybersecurity and your background today. So jumping into the questions, Matt, you've got quite the career in technology, cybersecurity as a leader, and now the managing director for 1898 & Co. Security. Could you share with our audience the secret to your career growth and what inspires you?
I have to say that I've been quite thankful for the career that I've been fortunate enough to develop and really realize I've always been really close to technology, whether that's on the software side, the network side, or even the control systems side of technology. So at my core, I'd say that I'm definitely a technologist with a passion for technology and innovation. On the other hand, I also have a love for business and strategy. So, finding a path that would really cater to both is something that is really a dream come true. And when you factor in kind of the altruistic side of what we do, like from a 1898 & Co. security perspective, we have a mission statement that talks about serving humanity and protecting the world's critical infrastructure. How many people really get to say that they do that on a day-to-day basis? So there's that side of it, that we know that we're making the world a better place, that we're truly protecting to some extent humanity. And I think that that's something I'm very, very passionate about. So I will say this, it's very easy for me to get up in the morning and go to work because it's something I love to do. And it really doesn't even feel like work to me at all.
That's awesome. And, again, that sentiment shared throughout a lot of the guests on the show. And the reason I really think their success, I know their success, is because it's something that they truly believe in, they're truly passionate about. And you're right, it's not work. So that's awesome. Matt, let's talk about the pandemic, right? We don't know where this is headed. It has lifted in some places, has kind of, people are starting to be a little bit of being cautious, but what's your plans for business growth going forward? Will it be any different than the lockdown?
Yeah, absolutely. So, it's interesting. I've had a lot of meetings recently with the leadership of our company and just talking about the different trends that are really happening out there. And, one thing that's really clear is the pandemic has absolutely impacted the workforce in a really dynamic way, and for obvious reasons, right? I mean, it's pretty hard to find someone who wasn't affected, didn't have either a colleague or friend or family member that might have been lost, or at least, got pretty seriously sick. And so I think that's caused a lot of people to reevaluate a lot of aspects, certainly around work-life balance and, whether or not they want to go into an office, let's say, 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, whatever, or do they want to spend, be closer to home, see their loved ones a bit more. So I think, that there's a lot of that going on. On that side of the pandemic, I would say, really it had a profound impact. And, in some ways I tend to think that some of those changes they were kind of already out there and were already starting to happen. I just think the pandemic really put an emphasis on it and really made it happen perhaps in a really short time frame, maybe more than a lot of people would have expected. Coming back to what I do on the cybersecurity end, let's say the pandemic end, I'd say, and the workforce side, very profound changes. On the operational technology cybersecurity side of the equation, which is what I focus on a day-to-day basis, in some ways, it's much ado about nothing. And all I mean by that is ever since for really the last decade, there's been increasing attacks, cybersecurity attacks. There's been increasing impacts and consequences of those attacks. From that sense, nothing has changed, right? We've seen a lot more attacks. We've seen SolarWinds that's been out in the news, at least a lot of people would know and have seen and heard about. But there was SolarWinds, but then there was another attack, probably a little bit lesser known, called Oldsmar Water Facility. That was around the time of the Super Bowl this past year. And then we had Colonial Pipelines, which I know impacted me personally. I had to go pay, nearly $5 for gas, and a lot of places didn't even have gas. And then you had JBS Meat. So, you've had these escalations of ransomware attacks. And frequently what happens is exactly what has happened in this case, where the adversaries that are out there saw what's going on with COVID, saw that, realized that there's a huge influx of people working from home. They saw that as an opportunity to try to perpetuate different attacks, whether it was remote access sort of attack or email phishing, ransomware, malware, whatever. So on the one hand, things changed profoundly. On the other hand, they're kind of a lot of the same sort of thing that we've seen for a long time. But I can tell you from our perspective, just from a business, I guess maybe the core of your question about business growth and what's different, what we're seeing is there has definitely been an increase in our clients implementing technology and automation into their environment. That's been happening for a while, but again, because of COVID, it's stepped up quite a bit. So it really depends on, what sector we're talking about, what the specific client is. But I would say within their environments, from a cybersecurity perspective and from a broader IT digitalization perspective, depending on who we're talking about, some of the groups that we work with are flat. Some of them are actually declining, believe it or not, because they're employing more automation and technology to cover for more and do more with less. And some of them are slightly increasing. But I can say from our perspective, what we're being asked to do more than really we have in the past, although we've had growth, is that we are being asked more and more to be kind of that trusted advisor to handle all these aspects of technology, automation, and all the disruption that's happening within that environment. And what that's translated to us, we've done some of our early business planning for next year. I mean, conservatively looking at it, we expect to double in size next year. And I mean, it's definitely not out of the question that we could even be talking about, tripling in size next year. So, last year, again, one of the things that's, I guess, we're fortunate with is in the line of business that we're in, we tend to hold up well during, difficult kind of market transitions. But coming out of the pandemic, we see extreme growth.
Great. No, I appreciate that. That's exciting to hear. And, we've had all kinds of stories and challenges for businesses, regardless of the business, but especially in cybersecurity. And we've seen that the uptick during the pandemic. And then, of course, we see continued growth. So that's exciting to hear. So, Matt, we're going to switch gears here a little bit and kind of switching and winding this down here. Could you share something from your career experience that would be helpful for those looking to grow their career in either tech or cybersecurity?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I guess the first thing that I would say, you hear people suggesting different things depending on who you talk to. First thing I would say is that despite what anyone might have heard from others, that the path in terms of career growth is never straight, right? It's usually a quite winding road, and even if you take a few good steps, many times there's some sort of a setback or a parallel shift. But that being said, one of the things I'm really passionate about, and I probably touched on it a little bit in the first question to some extent, is a lot of people think of cybersecurity as being technical, right? And it is, that is true. But the guidance I would really give anyone who's looking at, coming along, if they're looking at cybersecurity or they're looking at it, really anything in this space, what I would say is I'm a big proponent for differentiation, right? And being different from the person sitting right beside you. And one of the best ways to do that is to not just be technical, right? There's a lot of people that get into cybersecurity from a technical perspective. If you were to rate them, they're off the charts. But some of those same people, in some cases, couldn't tell you really just basic aspects of a business. And I think where things really get special and where you can really differentiate yourself as someone coming along, because knowledge is definitely power, is to exercise both sides of your brain, right? Really go get, if you're looking at curriculum, if you're looking at programs, look at programs where you can get the technical side of things, but you also get a healthy dose of the business side of things, because I think it allows you to see problems, issues differently. It's almost like you got another type of glasses on that nobody else can see. And likewise, it allows you to find solutions that a lot of other people couldn't find. And that makes you special. It makes you differentiated within the workforce. So that would probably be my guidance, is to make sure you're exercising both sides.
I love that. And, again, everybody's unique. Everybody's got a unique story. But what's great, Matt, is we're taking someone like yourself that's got a plethora of experience and tenure within your industry and within tech and cybersecurity, being able to give back. And that's what we do here at Coruzant. We like to give back and mentor others that are new in this career or making that transition, right? So we certainly appreciate your input. Matt, I just want to let you know it was a pleasure having you on today. And I look forward to speaking with you real soon.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you having me on. Hope you have a good rest of the day.
Bye for now.